Welcome to Scone Baking Beyond. Hi, I'm Kathy, and I enjoy making scones, muffins, cookies, and all sorts of delicious baked goodies. Today, I'm sharing with you my recipe for raspberry cupcakes. These delicious cupcakes are loaded with raspberry flavor, and then I've added a raspberry buttercream on top. You and your family are going to love these cupcakes, so let's bake. Okay, we'll get started with the dry ingredients. So I have here 1½ cups of unbleached flour. And to that I'm going to add 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of lemon zest. We're going to whisk this together. There we go, and we're going to set this aside. So now it's time for the raspberry part. So instead of using fresh raspberries, which I did try using fresh raspberries, you get this awful kind of bluish lavender cupcake, which isn't really pretty. Tastes great, just isn't really pretty. So instead of fresh raspberries or raspberry puree, I didn't want to use raspberry extract, so I came up with using raspberry jam, loaded in raspberry flavor, and raspberry yogurt. And this is the yogurt with the fruit already stirred in, not with the fruit on the bottom. And I found this really did amp up the raspberry flavor. So now these raspberry cupcakes have a wonderful raspberry flavor, and they're not that weird color anymore. They're a nice little light pink. So we're going to combine our 1/2 cup of raspberry yogurt, and if you can, try and find non-fat or low-fat yogurt, and 1/2 cup of raspberry jam. And this is what's going to give us this wonderful, delicious flavor in our raspberry cupcakes. So we're going to mix this together, and we're going to set this aside. So now it's time to get our sugar and butter and everything else mixed together in our stand mixer here. So I have 1/2 cup of butter that's at room temperature. And to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. We're going to put this on medium-high speed, and we're going to beat this for about 3 minutes until it gets nice, light, and fluffy. Okay, it's nice, light, and fluffy, so I'm going to turn on low speed, and I have 2 eggs here, and they are also at room temperature, so I'm going to add them one at a time. And now egg number 2. Okay, both eggs have been blended in. Now I have here 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're just going to blend this in. Okay, now that the vanilla extract is blended in, we're going to put in 1/2 of our flour mixture. All knocked off of there. We're going to blend this in. Now that that's blended in, we're going to put in our jam yogurt mixture, the wonderful raspberry flavor here. We're going to turn this on low speed and get that blended in. Okay, now that that's blended in, we'll put in the rest of our flour mixture. And we're just going to blend this until it's totally combined, but you don't want to overmix this. Okay, it's totally blended, so we'll get our spatula, get everything off this beater here. Okay, so here's our batter. It's nice and blended, and I want to make sure I get everything off the bottom. Okay, it's nicely blended, and I'm just getting it just stirred up with the spatula here. Oh, and it smells so wonderful. You just smell the raspberries in there. So, I'll move this off to the side here. So I have lined my 12-cup muffin tin, or I should call it a cupcake tin, right? So I've lined my cupcake tin with nice little liners here. And I have a number 12 scoop or disher, or some people call it an ice cream scoop. And what I like about using a scooper here is that it divvies out exactly how much batter I want in each one of these, and it's a little bit cleaner than using a couple spoons or the spatula or whatever. So we're going to put in this is about 2/3 of a cup, and we're going to fill this up about 2/3 full. That's easy to remember. And the last one here. Oh, there we go. They smell wonderful. They look great. We're going to bake these at 350 degrees. I preheated my oven at 350 degrees. We're going to bake these for 20 to 25 minutes. So now we're going to make our raspberry puree, and we're going to add this to our buttercream frosting. So I have here a small pot, and in here I have 200 grams of frozen raspberries. You can use fresh raspberries if you like, or you can use frozen. Either one works. To that, I'm going to add 50 grams of castor sugar and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. And I have here 6 grams of freeze-dried raspberries, which I put in the food processor and I pureed it into a powder. And it makes about 1 tablespoon of freeze-dried raspberry powder. This is really going to amplify the raspberry flavor in our buttercream by adding more raspberry flavor without adding more raspberry juice. It's not going to come out. There we go. We're going to turn this on medium. We're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for 10 to 15 minutes so it really reduces down. Our raspberry puree has cooked down, and it's been simmering for about 10 minutes. So I don't like all these seeds in my buttercream. So I'm going to put this through a sieve here. Kind of smash this down and get all the raspberry juice out of there without getting all those seeds. Once we get all the juice out of there, we will then set this aside to make sure it cools completely. Okay, our cupcakes have come out of the oven and they're cooled down, and oh, they smell wonderful. They smell so good. So it's time to get our raspberry buttercream together. So I have here 150 grams of butter that's at room temperature, so it's nice and soft. Put that in there, and we're going to put the mixer on medium-high speed for about 5 minutes to get this butter nice, light, and fluffy. Okay, it's nice, light, and fluffy. So now we're going to add about half of our powdered sugar here. That looks good. We're going to start this on low, otherwise you'll have powdered sugar everywhere. We're going to put this on low, and once it's incorporated, then we're going to put it up to medium-high speed and let it go for another 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, and so now we're at the rest of our powdered sugar. We're going to put this on low again until we get the powdered sugar mixed in, and then we're going to go on medium-high speed for 5 more minutes until it's nice, light, and fluffy. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, and it looks really good, but it's really too thick to pipe right now, and it has no raspberries yet. So let's add our raspberry puree. So I have here the raspberry puree that we made. So it's nice and thick now. And there are a few little seeds in there, so a few of the little seeds do make it through. So what I'm going to add is 3 to 4 tablespoons of this into our bowl here, and this is what's going to flavor and actually color our buttercream here. So I'm going to add 3 or 4 tablespoons. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons, see if it's at good piping consistency, and if I need a little bit more, I'll just add a little bit more. Okay, it's been a couple minutes, and that raspberry puree is well blended in there. Take the beater off of here. So there we are. We're going to put this into our piping bag here. So I have a 16-inch piping bag, and I folded back the top, and I have a 1M tip, so I'll make a nice little pattern on top of those cupcakes. So we'll fill up this piping bag. So our raspberry buttercream is in the piping bag and it's ready to go, and you want to make sure to twist the top. And I kind of filled it up pretty much up to the top, so I can't put it over my finger as I'd like to, but I will soon. And so what we want to do when we're piping these to make them really pretty is you want to pipe a nice little blob in the middle and then go around the edges and come up kind of like an ice cream cone. Give it a nice little star at the top. So give it a nice blob in the middle, go around. And there's our last one. There we go. Oh, those look so pretty. They smell so good. But to let everyone know that these are raspberry cupcakes, we're going to put a little raspberry right on top. So I have these fresh raspberries here. Not only do they look pretty, but I know they're going to taste wonderful. You can even smell the raspberry in the buttercream, the raspberry in the cupcakes. So now it's time to try one. So we'll take this one. Kind of move these off to the side here. Maybe not too far off to the side, so you can keep on looking at them. So here we go. Take the paper off. And they're still a little bit pink. To make them more pink, you can always add a little bit of pink or red food coloring to make them even more pink, but that's okay. So now, take a bite. Let's see if we can do this without making a mess. These have such a wonderful raspberry flavor without using raspberry extract, using the raspberry jam and that raspberry yogurt. Oh, it gives the cupcake such a wonderful raspberry flavor. And then making that raspberry puree and getting that cooked down and getting it real thick and then adding that to the buttercream. Oh, these taste so good. You and your family are going to love these. For the complete recipe, please go to my website, sconebaking.com, and there is a link below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for future videos. I hope this recipe inspires you to bake. Thank you for watching. I think I'm going to eat the raspberry this time.